Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Cruz. Now, a lot of us here have gotten the opportunity by this time, I'm sure, either to work with a group project or to work for a company or a business in general. And so the first thing I want to ask is how many of you felt comfortable, whether it was your first week of work or meeting new people in your group project, felt comfortable initiating a conversation? How many of you felt comfortable? Okay. All right, how many of us were more hesitant or are not as likely to go up to people and start conversation or learn more about the company? Maybe you took like a week or two, kind of getting the feel of the room. Okay, that was me, that's okay. And that's because the truth is it can be intimidating talking or communicating with other people. And although it is kind of scary at first, it doesn't have to be. It can be a challenge and it's something that we can work through, specifically by learning how to better your interpersonal communication skills. And today I want to talk about the different elements that go into it, how we can recognize what they are, as well as how to handle conflict, what to do, different methods to approach it whenever there are certain situations that you might feel uncomfortable with at first. So what is interpersonal communication? Well, according to Salem Encyclopedia, interpersonal communication is the process by which one party communicates or exchanges information with another one, whether it be verbal or nonverbal. Now, a couple of different methods of communication would be like spoken language, hand gestures, facial expressions, maybe the way that you write things down or anything like that. Now, all of these are different forms of communication that take part in interpersonal communication skills. So your posture, whenever you're in a meeting or whenever you're having a group project meeting that is set up, what is your posture like? What are you doing with your hands? Is it engaging? What does it say about yourself? Whenever you're speaking, what is your tone of voice? So whenever you're talking to a manager, you want to make sure that it's professional, that it's respectful. You wouldn't use the same tone of voice that you would whenever you're with your friends. Like, hey, what's up? Whenever you're working with your coworkers, you want to make sure that it's professional for your and appropriate for your workplace. So these are just some examples of verbal and nonverbal forms of communication. And now diving into interpersonal skills. Whenever you are working, what are some of those? Well, right here I have a couple listed. The first one being verbal, the way that you speak, like I said, your tone of voice. Whenever you're working with a manager or someone higher up, you want to make sure, like I said, you're always respectful and using appropriate verbal manner. Another one on here is listening. So a lot of the times people have a couple of trouble distinguishing the difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is a process by which, the sounds or noise comes in, but it kind of stops there. Listening is whenever you take that sound, you take that noise, and you convert it into an understanding of what the person is saying. And the reason that this plays a big role in interpersonal skills is because, let's say, for example, that your manager or one of your members in your group asks you to complete a task, and you're only hearing, but you're not listening. Later on, if something doesn't come out right or you're not sure what to do next, it can really take a toll on you and your group members in general because you weren't listening actively. You weren't paying attention to all the details that you needed in order to complete that task. So why is all of this stuff important? Why are all of these skills important? Well, Sam DeKay, he works with the corporate, and he's been working in corporate communication for a very long time. He's actually the vice president for a company in New York right now. And he wrote a couple of journals about interpersonal communication. And in one of them, he states that they did a national survey with a couple of business executives about interpersonal communication skills, and it revealed that those business executives were more likely to promote people with interpersonal communication skills to a higher position or, giving them a raise or anything like that along those lines. And of course, whenever we're in the workplace, we want to move up, we want to better. So these are some of the skills that are good to take back and reflect on how you can apply them in your workplace to better your workflow and your group project in general. All right, so next I want to talk about conflict and how to handle conflict. Now, a study was done also by Sam DeKay, and he conducted a study with an IT business. And what he did basically was he took, instead of using internal sources of the company, he took an external professional experts. and he brought them in to design a communication training program for the employees of that company. And this really helped them out because they provided sessions to the employees. It was like a half-day session. They had about 20 employees, and they taught them a lot about these interpersonal communication skills and how to apply them. They taught them about how to handle conflict. And providing things like that for your company or your employees or group members in general can really help benefit the workflow and understand, because interpersonal communication skills are something that is gained through experience, and providing that experience for your employees can help your company overall. Bringing in external members to help with that can also help because they can see the bigger picture and they can kind of see what the company values are, where the different departments can work together and collaborate, which areas maybe need more help or more sessions provided. So providing something like that can really, you can see a difference in that. All right, so whenever it comes to handling conflict, it can be a little bit intimidating. It can be stressful whenever you're not the one to do it. And a quote by Amy Bradley, she wrote a book on how to address conflict. It really stood out to me. She says, emotionally charged people want something. Most commonly, it's validation of their feelings. Simply validating their emotions can diffuse many needs and conflicting emotion. And I believe this is very true because a lot of the times whenever people are having conflict or they're not agreeing with a certain method that you're using for your work, a lot of times what they want to do is be heard. They want their ideas, they want their point of view to be out. And providing that opportunity to listen to those people can help diffuse the situation drastically. And so specifically, I want to talk today about 4 key elements about how to handle conflict. And so Hallie Crawford actually speaks about these in one of her books that she wrote by How to Handle Conflict, and she states it as the 4 that stand for the word, it basically makes up the word real, so REAL. And I want everyone in here to raise up your hand and hold up 4 fingers, because we're going to run through them, and I want you to keep these in the back of your head whenever a situation might come up that you're not really sure how to handle. All right, so the first one, it stands for relationship. Designing a relationship with your coworkers. Are you able to, everyone be on the same page? Does everyone have the same idea of what, or agreement on the meeting times, the limitations on what if something arises? How are we going to handle this? So building a relationship with your people first is what you want to do, because if everyone's not on the same page later on, when those conflicts arise, they could have been stopped. They could have been handled whenever, set guidelines were put in place. The second one, empower. So empowering others whenever they're speaking, so that way the next time that they have an idea, they feel comfortable with expressing it, or next time they have something that they don't necessarily agree on, they are comfortable. You never want to crash down someone's idea. There are rules and limitations, and sometimes not everyone's ideas can be initiated or started or heard, but just being able to put it on the table and let people know that they can is helpful. So you want to make sure you empower others. The third one, it would be ask. So asking questions. Whenever you ask a question to your group members, trying to understand why are they having this conflicting, manner. Why are they disagreeing, basically. Asking open-ended questions can make all the difference, because if you ask just a yes or no question, you don't really get much out of that person. You don't really learn much out of that person. So you want to be sure that you ask questions that they're able to express more than just yes or no, I don't agree with it. And the last one stands for listening. So those are the 4, REAL, listening. And listening, like I expressed earlier, can really help, like she said, relieve some of that, stress or like emotional buildup that they may have because of the situation. Because, all that we want to do is be heard, and to work better as a team, we have to be able to listen to each other. And so I want to talk about a couple of exercises that we can do or use whenever we are handling conflict. And one of those is being self-aware. So being self-aware that you are using these interpersonal skills that we've talked about so far whenever you are handling conflict, working in group projects, to better your group's progress and production. So being self-aware is a good exercise, standing back and saying, am I doing my part? The other one that I have on here is turn taking or brainstorming. So again, allowing everyone the opportunity to have them express their thoughts or feelings. Doing activities that are inclusive rather than a raise of hands or who has an idea. Making sure that everyone has a part in it can really help the brainstorming part be a lot more easier to facilitate and be more productive in general. All right. So those are some of the exercises that I have, as well as just like in general, be active. Be active when you're listening to people. Passive listening can, it can creep in whenever you're in a long meeting and, you're kind of tired, you're ready to go home, but making sure that you're paying attention to all the components that is being said can really help improve your workplace. Now, I also want to share a quote by Joanne Blount, where they wrote in a guide for interpersonal communication. They stated that we spend about 80 to 85% of our day engaged in some form of communication activity, with listening being the most used skill. So I really believe that listening is one of the top skills that is used in the professional workplace. And overall, all these elements are very important to use in your workplace. So again, like going over the 4 steps on how to handle conflict, or implementing, different training programs for your company can really help better your company's progress and help you become a better professional in your career path and in your workplace.